Right. So, hi everyone. I hope you are all well, and thanks for jumping on and joining me here this evening as we begin session number 3 of our CAT exam prep. So, I'm going to be going through a few pointers and then also looking at some of the practical exam questions that could come up and how to approach them. Just sort of how to look at these questions, reading through correctly, so that you give them exactly what they want. Okay. So let's go and have a look here. I'm going to add this. Just going to throw myself in there. Okay. So let's go and see what we have here this evening. Now, I said to you that one of the main things is the fact that I wanted, let me just do that, is the fact that we wanted to go through the specs of a computer. Now, this is very important, especially for grade 11s and 12s, because you do get a lot of marks coming from the specs of the computer. So here, for example, we can see that we've got these specs here. And one of the first things they'll usually ask us is this a desktop or laptop computer? Now, when we look at the specs over here, we see an AMD Ryzen, and we see that that's got to do with our CPU. This over here has got to do with our motherboard. We've got our RAM. We've got an SSD hard drive. Here's your first clue: the power supply unit. Only your desktops or your desktop computers, only on those specs will they specify something like the power supply. You don't really see them, specifying the power supply with a laptop. So that's your first clue to saying, yes, this is a desktop, and that's why. Nothing else here really speaks to that. Okay. So that would be how I would identify that. Why this is important is because they can ask you a lot of questions on this. For example, what is the make and model of the CPU? It is an AMD. What is the model? It's a Ryzen 5, right? 3600. What is the speed at which the CPU is operating? 3.6. And what is it measured in? Gigahertz. Can it be overclocked? What does overclocking mean? So, that's just from one line. Just one line. Then they can ask about the motherboard itself, the make and model of the motherboard, right? So these are just, again, typical things that will come up. The hard drive. Here they can ask you for the difference between a traditional hard drive and your SSD. What does SSD stand for? Well, it's the solid state drive. What is a solid state drive? How is it different from your normal hard drive? And then what is the size? And they won't necessarily ask you what's the size of the hard drive. They'll ask you what's the size of the secondary memory. Now remember, our primary memory is our RAM. And here you can see we've got the size of the RAM, the 8 gigs. We've also got the DDR. That's the model, of the RAM, and then the speed at which it's operating. Okay. So there are a number of questions again that they can ask you here on the hard drive itself. The power supply, what does it do? Right? It supplies power to the motherboard and the components of your PC. Then they mention here at the bottom, LAN and OS optional. So what does that mean? It means that if you want this, they can include a network card and an operating system. That is not part of this bundle. It is actually an optional extra. And then you get a 24-month warranty, and they can ask you questions related to that. Okay. So that's just one aspect. And you can see as I'm going through how many questions can actually come from there. Right, so here we've got another lot of specs. And let's see if we can figure out what this is. So they mention here it's the Lenovo IDEA Pad 3. So that should already give us a clue. Intel 10th Gen i3. Okay, that's referring to our CPU. Our RAM, 256 SSD. Yes, okay, that's our hard drive. Right, that's where we're going to store everything. Then they say 15.6-inch full HD, and then they give us the resolution anti-glare. So that should already begin to tell you what this is. Have they said monitor? No, they haven't. Okay. Remember, when we talk about a monitor, we're generally talking about a peripheral, right? A screen that's external to our computer. But when they just mention this over here, they're actually talking about the screen of a laptop, right? That's how I identify that this is a laptop. Integrated Ultra HD graphics, no optical drive. So they can ask you, what is an optical drive? What does the optical drive do? How does an optical drive store data? How can you use that to actually store data? And you can say, well, I would need optical media like a CD in order to use that drive to store data. This comes with Windows 11 Home. They can ask you about the Home Edition as well. Please, when you see a Home Edition, it is something that can be asked because of the specs that come with it. Now, when you deal with a Home Edition of an operating system, it's going to deal with, provide you with just the basic components that Windows needs in order to function. All right. So it's not going to come with all the professional features in the background, many of which we take for granted. So do pay attention to that, because they might ask you the difference between a home edition and a professional edition. Generally, with your home edition, you might not get access to be able to use it with a network. Your pro edition would have that. Okay, so there are going to be differences there. And then here's another one, full-size keyboard. Now, they wouldn't say this if this was a desktop computer, because it will come with a full-size keyboard or gaming keyboard or whatever it is that you're going to be buying. So now you know the size of this laptop. This laptop has got a 15.6-inch screen, a full-size keyboard. It's got one USB 2 port, 3 USB 3 ports, and an HDMI port. So they could ask you, what's the difference between USB 2 and USB 3? And the only difference is USB 3 is the later version of the USB technology, and it's faster. It relates to the transfer speed. So this is USB 3 is faster in terms of its transfer speed than USB 2. Okay, so there you've seen now I had the desktop, the laptop, and let's do one more. Okay, so let's go through line by line. Now they ask you with this particular computer, well, you know what? We want to know, first of all, is this a desktop or a laptop? So I look at my power supply unit. I look at the fact that it says RGB tempered glass case. Now we don't have a glass case or any sort of case, when it comes to your laptops. So that's already telling me this is a desktop. So what is the make and model of the CPU? Well, the make is an AMD. The model, it's a Ryzen 9 and then a 5950X. Okay, so that is our make and model. Then what's the speed of the CPU? Our 3.4 gigahertz. Can it be overclocked? Yes, it's got that function to take it up to 4.9 gigahertz. Okay, when we talk about overclocking, you're making the CPU run faster, than the clock speed of the actual motherboard. Okay, so it has this functionality, but this is not something you want to use on a regular basis and for long periods of time, because it does produce a lot of heat, and we know heat is the enemy of electrical components. Then we've got an Asus Prime, and that's the model number motherboard. Okay, so that's the version of that particular motherboard. No hassle, no hassle. I'll go through a few things. Don't worry. We've also got the fact that this is, when it comes to your theory, master beta, okay? When it comes to your theory, please remember grade 12, the specs of the PC is going to be like almost 50 marks, okay? That's how many questions you can get from this. So again, our RAM, the size, the type of RAM, it's an RGB, so it's going to have, those nice RGB lights on it, the DDR, the version, and the speed. We've also got our hard drive, which is an SSD, up to 3,100 megabits per second, our power supply, and then it's mentioning the type of case. So you can imagine this is for some sort of gamer, LCD and OS, again, optional, and your 24-month warranty. Okay, so those are just a few examples of what you could get in terms of the specs of a PC and how they would ask those questions, what sort of info they want to extract from them. So let's look at some of the prac. This is for both, right? Both. Remember now, I've been teaching in the normal caps for a number of years, and now I'm busy with IEB as well. So I'm making sure that the content I bring is on the level with both of them. Okay. So let's look at some of the practical questions you can get in Word, and this is what I'm going to go through, because I want to go through Word, Excel. I'm not going to go through the practical steps now. I first want to go through all of this, and then I'll release another video where I go through some of these items as well. But if there's something specific, please let me know. Here they mention, this is a typical question: modify the automatic page numbering in the whole document as follows. Now, we already know when it comes to Word and we want to insert page numbering. No, man. Don't say that. Shh, don't say things like that. When we are dealing with page numbering, and let's just see if I can share my screen. Ba-bum. Okay, so we already know if I'm going to go and insert page numbering, I can go insert, I can go page number, and that's where I'll find everything I need. Okay, but what are they asking me? Modify the automatic page numbering in the whole document as follows. Page numbering must not appear on the first page. So if I go in and I say page number, and I say I want it at the bottom of the page, I'm just going to choose that. Remember, here are all your options. Different first page, different odd even pages. Okay, so that's where I'm going to do that. Change the numbering on the second page to start at 1. Now, for that, you will need to put in a section break on your first page and then start the numbering from your second page. And that's how you can get it to start at page number 1. I have got a video on that, so please go and check that out. Okay, another one from Word. Find the text Doctors Without Borders below the heading Introduction and create a hyperlink to the text. So remember now, in that question, in that question, they are asking a few things. Number one, they're asking you to use find, right? They want you to find these words. Where are you going to find it? Below the heading. So you're going to go and look for that heading. You're going to go and find these words. And then in order to create a hyperlink, you've got to highlight this. You can also check if you've got the bookmark, right? So let me just type anything here, highlight it. And if I'm going to insert a hyperlink, right, one of the first things I can do is just go to bookmarks and see if that bookmark is there. If the bookmark isn't there, obviously I'll have to create it. But if it is there, then it's fine. I can just go to my link. Then they'll ask me, what do I want to link it to? Well, let's go and have a look over here. They want me to link it to the Legends bookmark. Okay, so a place in this document, I'll click on that, and there you can see headings and bookmarks, and then I can just click on bookmark, and if it's there, I'll click on that, link it, and again, I can put in text display, I can put in a screen tip if they ask me for that. They tell me to create a new source to reference to the report type. So again, this is where we deal with our references. Let me just get there. Right. So my references tab and my sources over here. When I click on that, I can go and create new sources. Okay, that's where I'm going to create a new source. in terms of my referencing. Okay, so references tab, manage sources, and then I can go and sort that out over there. So can you see, just by me going through this, I'm just trying to show you, how to approach these questions. Here's another one. Still in Word. Find the table below the heading 1970s events that took place and do the following. So the first thing you're going to do before you even look at the rest of the instructions, just go and find the table, right? Let's find the table and then we're okay. Once we've got the table, what do they want us to do? Use the table feature to separate the last 3 rows from the main table so that the 1980s data appears in a separate table. So guys, you will go and you will first go and separate that. Then the next instruction is insert a new row above the first row. So we know when we insert a table, we can simply right click on the table itself and say insert row. A sponsor will donate £15 for every patient. Modify the formula in the table. So there'll be an existing, just in this example, there's an existing formula. You're going to modify it to calculate the total funding. And then they want you to format it as currency. Okay. Now, most of those things will be in your table. And I just want to see if I've got an example over here. Let's see. Okay, let's see what we can do here. So here I've got an example. Okay, again, I'm just using what I have in front of me. And they wanted us, first of all, to separate the last 3 rows. So let's say I want to separate these 3 rows from everything else. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to go up to my table tools tab over here, go to the layout tab, and there you got split table. So when I click it, have a look at that. There it has split the table. Okay. What else do they want me to do? They want me to insert a new row above the first one. Okay. So I'm going to click in there, right click on it. And what am I going to say? Insert above. Okay. They have inserted the row above. Okay, obviously I can't do the formula because I can't see this. Right, so that is how you would tackle that particular question. Yes, definitely. Once it's done here, it's going to be on the YouTube channel. It's gonna be there forever. So you can always go and catch it after that. The next one with Word, again, page numbering. The page numbering will not appear on the last page. The table of figures does not show the 10 images found in the document. Now, where does a table of figures get its information from? We've got to put in our citation. So let me just do this quickly. Let me find a picture that we can use. Okay. Where am I now? Let me see. What picture can I use? Okay. Sorry. Let me get that there. Yes. Okay, so now I've got my picture. I've inserted my picture. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my captions. So references, captions. I'm going to say insert caption. And there you can see they give me figure 1, and I'm going to go 3. Right? Again, you will only change things here if they ask you to do that. I'm going to click OK. And there you can see I've got my picture labeled. Now I'm going to go down a few spaces. And now I'm going to insert a table of figures. I'm just going to leave everything as is, and I'm going to click OK. You saw I did nothing else. And what did it do? It pulled this data through. Why? Because it was a caption. So your table of figures will have a list of all the captions that were in the document. So When you look at this over here and they say in the table of figures does not show the 10 images found in the document, make the necessary changes. It means that you have to go and insert captions for those various images. So you can see this is quite a few marks. Insert any page border. Okay, page borders we generally know only to the last page, and that we can do because all we'll do is just make sure that we are in that page. So let me go down. We're just going to make sure that we are in that particular page, apply a page border. I'm just going to choose anyone and apply it to, all except the first page or this section, whatever it is you want to do. And then we'll take it from there. Okay, so that will have that sorted out. Just make sure that it does display correctly. If it doesn't, then just add a section break to the page before that. Okay, then it should end up working fine. Right, place the cursor on the text here at the bottom of the page. Create a new style. Okay, so please, we know where our styles are. All right, we know our styles are over here. So yeah, you can use this. There we go, create a style. So we're not modifying a style, we are creating a style from scratch as well. Okay, so that should be it for, oh yes. Replace all occurrences of word care. Now, this is another one. This is another one. When I use find and replace, this is something that does come up regularly. Okay, so they mentioned to me here, find what? What do I want to find? So let's say I want to find the word PC and I want to replace it with the word computer. Obviously, I don't have it in this document, but let's just say for argument's sake, that's what we want. If I click on more, there are a number of options that I can use here. If I go to the bottom, I've got even more options. So I can replace that word maybe with a paragraph mark. I can put a, M dash, N dash. I can format it. I can do all of those things, and that'll apply to replace with. So just be careful also where you're clicking in, because you click into the wrong one, it's going to apply to that particular option. But this is where you end up doing that. Okay. Here's another one. Use a word processing feature to replace the word. Okay, we know that's find and replace. Find the text starting with people out of and ending with missing date. Again, our find and replace. Display the text in 2 columns with a vertical line in between the columns. Now, remember when it comes to, let's see, where am I going to go now? Do I have a document here? Okay, let's just use the blank one. All right, remember now, I'm going to go layout tab. Going to end up going to my columns. Obviously, you would have highlighted the text that you want to change into 2 columns. I'm going to go more columns, and then there I'll change it to 2 columns, put a tick in a line between. I can adjust the width. I can apply it to whatever I want to, and that's what I'll do over there. Okay, in Excel, let me just close Word here. Just keep Excel open. Okay, they want us to insert a cell to display the average number of outpatients. Now we know with average, we are going to say equals average, so we know that. Format the cell to display the result with no decimals. And yeah, I think let me just... So let's try and make this as big as we can. We know if we are going to say equals average over here, that we can then also just use our formatting to make sure it displays as we need it to. All right. If we need to take decimals away, we can use our increase and decrease decimals over here as well. Okay. Whoa. Okay, then the services offered by the MSF are listed from column C to column L. If no value appears in the cell, then that service is not available in that country. Insert a function to determine how many different kinds of services are available. Guys, you see, you have to read the question. And this is one of the big things that Marcus have had a problem with over the years. We need to read. So here they're just stating the services offered by MSF are listed in column C to column L. So first thing you do, go and have a look at what they are referring to. If no value appears in the cell, then that service is not available in that country. Okay, fine. So now you start to get an idea of what they are asking. Now they want you to insert a function to determine how many different kinds of services. So we are going to need to count something. Okay. And that's why if I look through the scenario and I see what they're asking, I can already start to work out what they are wanting me to do. Here's another one. Apply data validation. I did a video on this today because I saw this. Data validation to cell range so that only the values, and they give us the values, can be entered. Now, with data validation, we're going to click in a particular cell. We're going to go up to data, and we're going to go over to our data validation, and we're going to click data validation. And this is where we will specify what must happen in a cell. So at present, it allows anything, but I can say allow a whole number. It must be between 3 and 5. There's a message that can appear when I want to input data. And when I do something that's not within that parameter, I can actually have it display something. So I'm going to say wrong and error message, you are wrong. And I'm going to click OK. What's going to happen now is if I enter the number 4, it accepts it. If I enter the number 1, it tells me you are wrong. Okay, because of our data validation. Right, next thing. Carry out the following instructions to change the chart to display as shown below. So we take this step by step. First one, display only the services indicated in the example. So you have a look at what's in your practical paper, and then you make sure that only those items are displayed. Okay, that's fine. Once you've done that, save it. Okay, remember, do whatever you need to, then save it, and then move forward. Change the data labels to display the names of the services and the associated percentages. So you go to your data labels, and the first thing you're going to do is just change the display names. Once you're done with that, then you change it to percentages. Guys, don't try and do too many things at the same time. Then they want you to use explosion. That's where, especially when you have a pie chart, you have one particular item that's actually pulling out from the rest of the pie chart. And then they want you to save it. This is also a mark. Move the chart to the worksheet. So they want you to cut that and paste it on that particular worksheet. All right, here's another one. Insert a function or formula in cell H8 to display the following. So first thing you do, go to cell H8. Click in cell H8. Make sure you are there. What do they want us to do? The word expired if the bank card, oh, here we go, of a monthly sponsor has expired. Or the word remind if the bank card of a monthly sponsor is still valid and a transaction will take place. Or, so how many things do I have now? I've got expired, I've got remind, and a hash. I've got 3 items, which means this is a nested if function, right? A nested if function. Now, let me see if I can open something here. I don't think I have anything. Okay. I'll see what I can do as we go along. So you would have, like I said, your nested if with the word expired showing. If it meets that criteria, remind if it meets that criteria. And remember, if it doesn't do any of that, then it must show the hash character. Okay, so you I hope you guys are starting to see. Just by me reading through this, I can already work out what they are asking me to do. Then change the Sumifs function in cell F5. So you go to cell F5. You see that there is a Sumifs function to determine the total amount of single donations that were made in 2019. These guys will use the data to determine which type of message should be sent to sponsors. Okay, so all they're asking me to do is modify the Sumifs formula that is there. Now, for grade 10s, when you do get PowerPoint, as part of your exam this term, some of the things that you need to know is the fact that how to change the slide order, how to delete and insert new slides, adding text, adding graphics to a slide, adding shapes, and usually the PowerPoint section will be around 10 marks. Okay, so yeah, bear that in mind if you are in grade 10 and looking at your June exam as well. Then we go on to access. So this is grade 11 and 12. Now with access, here we are inserting a new field. We are now in the design view of your table. They want us to insert a new field. There's the name of the new field. So we first go to our design view. We create the new field, place the new field as the first field. So we need to move it up the ranks as well. We need to set the primary key, the data type of this field to assign an automatic number. So we'll use that auto number, and then change the new values property on this field to assign a random number to this field. So you need to go to the properties area of, you have your field properties right underneath. That's where you need to go to actually sort that out. Okay, so it's, again, you can see it's just about knowing where to go to. Right, open the query based volunteers. Display only the records where the volunteers are return volunteers and are willing to help for 20 weeks or more. So in our criteria, what we'll have to put as the criteria there is obviously those who are returning, and they're saying display only those records. So, I mean, I obviously haven't seen this, but these will obviously be fields. So I'm only going to display those. If it's not that and I need to put in criteria into the field, then remember 20 weeks or more, we will use our greater than and equals to 20 weeks. Okay, so that it brings up all those that are equal to 20 weeks and greater than 20 weeks. And then display the records alphabetically according to surnames. That we can do via our sorting. This one wants us to display only certain fields. So that's where we put that tick in show. Display only the records of volunteers who volunteer any treatment, excluding HIV/AIDS. Okay, that's also fine. That's going to be a criteria in our fields. Okay. Next one. Insert the image found in. So I brought this in because this is worth 9 marks for your report. So I want you to see why. Here we've got insert the 5 rescue image. So we need to insert an image. The image must go into the report header. We need to resize the image, and the whole image must fill the image box. So you can see just from that one section over there, that's probably about 4 or 5 marks as it is. Then you need to add another grouping to the report on this particular field. Insert a function into this particular group footer to determine the number of volunteers per medical service, and then insert a suitable label for the function. Now, when they use this language and they say insert a suitable label, you can type in anything you want to in terms of that label, as long as it's relevant to the function. Okay, so that's why they say a suitable label, and you save it and close it, and that's how you'd get your 9 marks. So guys, this is why do the first thing, save it. Do the next thing, save it. All right, and you'll be fine. All right, with HTML, the basics again. Changing the background color, BG color. Okay. Remember, when we deal with HTML, we need to speak like an American. So it's not color anymore, it's color. Okay, because it's COLOR. When we deal with center, it's center, right? CENTER instead of the normal way we spell it. They want us to display only the word Ebola found in the first paragraph in red, which means we are going to put out tags for that particular color around only that word. We are going to use the font tag, put in the color attribute as well. We need to create a link on the heading 2020 status. Okay, so we need to insert a hyperlink on that. Format the table, and okay, as shown in the example. So obviously you'll see that and then do those things over there. Our center, that's where we're going to use our align tag. Align equals center. All right, the line below the heading is set to 50% of the width of the screen. The image can be found in your folder. The height of the image is 500. The image has a thick border. Now, remember, our line is the HR tag. And inside the HR tag, we will apply various attributes like width equals 50%. Now, remember, your width can be expressed in pixels or percentages. So if it's pixels, we'll just put whatever the number is. Percentage, we put that number. The height of the image is 500. So you can see here it's pixels, here it's width. Obviously, this is for your line. Now, you will use your image tag, your IMG tag, to insert an image. And remember, it's image or IMG space SRC. And when it comes to inserting an image, please remember the extension is important. The spelling is important. So go and check those things. And then the height is going to be an attribute of that as well. All right. So guys, yeah, I think that's a wrap from me. That's all I wanted to share with you for this evening. I know some of you will be catching the replay on this. And yes, please do leave a like, obviously, but a comment if there's something specific you want me to touch on in probably our final session next week, or maybe I'll do a quiz again. But guys, please let me know in the comments of this video what you want me to cover in the next exam prep session. Okay, so I'll be waiting for you with that. Let me know, and then I'll catch you in our next session. For those catching the replay, yeah, I'm going to let you know when that session will be. I'll wait for feedback from you guys, and then I'll draft something from there. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.